Hi guys, and welcome to a completely unscripted, unsupervised update of which I'm just telling you the basic things I'm doing. This one's going to be pretty short just because the last few days have been pretty chaotic just in terms of what I'm trying to do and what I can get done, and it's not been a lot of fun. So I've basically It all started with Stalker 2, and Stalker 2 has been an unbelievable thorn in my side for quite a while, because nothing I have runs the game very well. So I've got, like, my computer's pretty good for, like, playing games. It plays nearly everything on, like, you know, high to ultra at like 1440p, and I'm feeling pretty good about like its ability to do that. But Stalker 2 is just absolutely destroying it on a regular basis, and every time I've tried to record the game, I've either ended up with, like, you know, it runs okay in certain parts, but then you go here and the frame drops are massive, and it's like everywhere that there's an important cutscene, it feels the game just kind of grinds to a halt and becomes nigh on unplayable, which is, or like unrecordable. Unpresentable is the word that I should be looking for, just because, like, really all I'm trying to do is get a decent frame rate out of it for extended periods of time, and I can't seem to do that. So I decided what I try and do is, because obviously I thought that the half of my problems were coming from the fact that I was trying to get the computer to record the game whilst it was also playing the game, and I was like, maybe that's just too much strain. So I ended up rearranging the entire office, which took quite a while, to get it to a point where, like, one computer can record the game and the other one can play the game. And then they updated it, and it ran even worse. So I was getting at least 40 frames a second in towns, and now I'm getting like 25. It's like cinematic, and I'm just like, this is terrible. How did this happen? And yeah, Stalker 2 has just been a massive pain in the it's a one that I want to record by Halloween, at least, you know, finish it by Halloween. But like every attempt that I've put into it has come out. I've started that game like 8 times now, and like I've played the opening so many times, and it's good until you get to the first town, and then once you get into the town, the frame rate tanks, which is like where all the cutscenes are and everything, and it's just dismal. Like, I haven't really experienced that much in the game either, because I'm constantly playing the start over and over again. So that's gone extremely poorly. Stalker 2 has like caused me so much pain of late, because lots of other things happened at the same time, unfortunately, as well. Whereas whilst trying to organize the putting things together, I accidentally shorted out the motherboard on one of my other computers, which was the one that was going to do all the editing work. And I was just like, well, great, I've broken one of my computers. I had to buy a rather expensive replacement just so that I could try and get back to work. And just, God, that went really badly. Then the same day that I broke the board, I went to bed, woke up the next day, like the day after technically, and I woke up with a giant cold, so you can probably still hear my voice is a bit I'm sort of bunged up still. So that day I got nothing done just because I felt terrible, and like the day after I felt significantly better, but like just nothing got done there at all, which was like the day where I've been trying to finish up all the cabling, because it's just a nightmare. Like, I have so many different things like hooked up to record in here, and I'm still having problems with things. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done with that. The writing work has just got pushed to the side simply because I've been like really busy moving things, and the writing work was kind of like what I've been waiting to do. But I don't focus very well until like I know that things are like good to go when I want to do them. So I kind of just had to leave that. I have done some writing. The only writing I'll tell you about so the what makes enemies scary video was really good, actually. I was really impressed with that, and I've decided that longer videos for that kind of thing are like the best. Not necessarily or every time, because to my absolute dismay, the Beginner's Guide 2 performed really badly in terms of like, you know, metrics and stuff, which just made me really sad, considering that took so much time and effort. That took months to work on, and it's barely getting viewed. Yeah, that's just how it is sometimes, though. YouTube is the great depressor. On the other hand, the What Makes Enemies Scary video did really well, so that's really good, and I'm very pleased with that. And I decided that that kind of model is something that I want to keep going on with. And I decided that this next one was going to be a sort of two birds, one stone thing, where I was going to talk about horror subjectivity, I was going to talk about immersion, and I kind of wanted to talk about critical versus personal opinion, which is one that I've been like talking about for ages, just because it's been kind of difficult to find a good time to just talk about it without the script being literally like 2 or 3 minutes long. So I've been kind of trying to work a way into making that viable in a way that's entertaining to watch and not just really, really brief. So what I decided to do was I would talk about my personal favourite horror games and talk about how subjectivity and critical versus personal opinion like plays into all of them. Because one of the first ones I'm going to be talking about is Graveyard Shift, which is a game that I mentioned in the Amenti video, which was earlier, I think the last video that I did. And Graveyard Shift is full of like stupid moments and like typos and poor written notes and voice acting that literally make me laugh, and I love it. It's one of my favorite horror games just because it's really funny as opposed to actually good, and I wanted to use that and a bunch of other things to talk about how subjective horror is to different people and how people find things frightening, and how my critical and my personal opinion just do not align up at all sometimes, to the point, you know, everyone like I say at the start, I've already written like the first section, I've written all of the Graveyard Shift part of it, which means that like the main bulk technically of the video is already there. I'm just trying to make the rest of the entries work because there's only going to be about 10 games on it, so I'm just going to talk about my horror games that are my personal favorites and talk about why they're in there, and, you know, give off a bunch of like points about it as well, whilst talking about the game and how things work and why I like them, and how that they do not match whatsoever with like the kind of critical opinion that I show in all of the reviews and like all of the like the top 25 video, which is still doing really well. That constantly like beats out nearly every other video that I've made. I'm so pleased with that, even if it does have problems. So yeah, there's that. That's one that I'm working on at the moment. I started writing it literally today, where I was like, hang on, you know, just thinking about, I thought the biggest issue that I was having was with a lot of these was like, I feel like if I just talk about my favorite horror games on their own, no one's really gonna care. And because like, it's not really the kind of like critical approach that I've taken with most things, like, and like it was a missed opportunity to talk about like my favorite games versus what I critically think are the best, which I do a lot in like every time I do a top 25, and my favorite games always end up changing a bit because it's much easier to rank things like critically, in my opinion, than it is to rank things personally, going like, well, I like this, but I like this a bit more, and because loads of different things are good in different ways, and that makes it kind of difficult to try and rank those things together. So yeah, that's one that I'm that's hopefully going to be the next one that I do, since I've already started writing it today, and I've got like 5 or so paragraphs, and I've only got to the number 9 and I've started at 10. So yeah, there you go. So that's that. Immersion was one that I was going to be talking about as well, because like I thought that one of the things that I spoke about in the original Atmosphere video, which is now several years old, was how there's a lot that you can do and that there's a lot that the game can do to talk about to reinforce immersion. And Graveyard Shift was going to appear in that as well, just because like Graveyard Shift is like the perfect example of how to immerse and then how to break immersion, because it frequently does both. So yeah, that was one that was going to go into that, and I was going to talk about, like, you know, you can put as much effort going into, you know, to make the game as immersive as possible, but if the game doesn't do certain things, like if the you know, if there isn't sound feedback for things, if the you know, the dialogue doesn't match the tone of the game, if if there are things that make you question things on a narrative purpose, if the monster doesn't reflect the kind of environment that it's in and stuff like that. Like, immersion is so fragile for horror because so much of it is built on the premise that you'll be scared of something if, XYZ all adds up. And if it doesn't, then, immersion breaking is something that can absolutely ruin a horror game's atmosphere to the point where, the game's no longer what you think it is, and then that's kind of, the game's no longer what it wants to be, that's just kind of game over for it. So yeah, immersion was going to be, I don't know how big of a video that was going to be, but I was going to try and go into as many different unique things as possible about how immersion was going to work and pay off and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. I had another idea, because I said it ages ago that I was doing the 100 free horror games thing. And I've been trying to think of a while of what to do with games that are too short to make into their own unique video. And I came up with the idea of YouTube shorts to basically, talk about all the free horror games and shorter games that I get or that I've played that you can still play for free. And I was basically going to think about trying to put them into YouTube shorts, so I just do a quick review of a game that's not very long. That way I can summarize it down really fast without needing to make a video feel worthwhile, because my approach to making videos is it's an event. I want to make videos an event, and I know that most of the reviews don't feel like that, but I want to make the idea of watching those videos entertaining. And you can't really do that sometimes with some of the games that I've got because of how short they are, and also a lot of people rightfully complain about spoilers, so there's a great pressure to try and show as little of the game as possible, whilst also trying to capture as much of the game as possible, which is really difficult because obviously I don't want to make the game not worth playing, which is a very valid point for a lot of people who go into these things hoping to hoping to find something frightening. But if I've showed all the good parts, then there's not really much left to see. So that's something that I've tried to do. So I'm thinking about trying to release those the 100 free horror games as a long string of shorts, because I haven't really played that many of them. I think I've got 15, 20, but a lot of them I think would work in the concept of a shorts format, because I think that's an untapped market, and I wanted to get back into the shorts, but also arrange them in a way that was fitting for that kind of time period. The limitations of a short. There we go. So yeah, that's one that I've been thinking about too. As for the games themselves, quite a few to talk about. I've ended up playing quite a lot of stuff still. There's quite a few that I haven't. Let me go open the folder because I can't remember exactly what I've done at this point. Yeah, okay, so I've still got... Wait, actually, of the finished ones... Hang on, let me check. Of the finished ones, I've still got the karaoke, which has just been kind of hard to write just because it's not very good, in my opinion. The karaoke just has a lot of problems. And trying to decipher what's good and what's bad when the tone is just constantly changing up and down is just been a bit challenging to write. I've not had a great deal of incentive to try and write that one as well. Where the Walls Breathe is one that was sent to me. That was pretty good, and but I don't know how good I would rate it, simply because one of the problems I think I have with it is a bit of tonal inconsistency, where it says it's it talks about one thing, but then other things happen, and sometimes it feels that doesn't, it isn't right. It's hard to explain without going into the details of the game. But actually, I could just go into the details of the game. So one of the biggest problems is the game doesn't really state at any point that there's supposed to be an antagonist at all. talks it bit like Silent Hill 4 The Room kind of thing, where like the house is the antagonist, or like, you know, Silent Hill in general, that like the, you know, the town itself is the antagonist that's going on, or, you know, that kind of thing, where it feels like the environment is the enemy, that like, you know, the walls are closing in and things keep on changing shape, you know, like Skinamarink or something. And but then it presents like this creepy ghost woman who appears out of nowhere, and it's like, you know, I think the biggest issue I have with that game is like, why is she here? Because like it's not brought up at all in the story, you know, and she appears in multiple different situations where it doesn't feel like she should be there, and it's good generally, but like I would have liked it if it had continued onwards with the basic premise that it writes about in all of its diary entries. And the diary entries are pretty good, where it talks about like, oh, this keeps on changing, the walls keep on changing shape, I don't know what's going on, I'm trapped inside my own home, like that sort of thing, where like it feels like PT without Lisa. And I was really enthusiastic to see where that went, but it doesn't really go anywhere with that, and then instead presents Ghost Girl, who doesn't have a good reason to be there in my opinion. In terms of like actual scares, I don't think it really had very many. It was mostly just like this really uneasy atmosphere all the way throughout, and that was like, I think that was its highlight. Like Where the Wolves Breathe was pretty good, but I'm not sure I would say it was great. So yeah, that's that. Hollow Cocoon, that's I don't know if I talked about this in the last update, because it's actually been a while since I've played this now. But Hollow Cocoon was really good. I really liked the way it all kind of came together and felt like a long, cohesive experience. And the story was really good. Like, in comparison to Where the Wolves Breathe, like the story just kept on filling in more stuff, and like it did get a little convoluted at one point, where I'm like, I don't know why this is, you know, this is getting very, you know, complex here, but like I was still really enjoying it. And yeah, the diaries were great, and I think the best thing that the game did was it subverted my expectations for a lot of it, where I was kind of expecting it to go one way, and then actually no, it's worse than that. And yeah, I always like it when that happens. And yeah, Hollow Cocoon was really good. It had the basic premise of the game is you basically return home and like, or return to your grandmother's house after she's been taken to hospital, and you're supposed to be waiting there for her to stay the night or whatever. And something breaks in and starts eating the wildlife outside, and it's revealed to be this sort of like feral woman. And I don't want to obviously go into details about the, you know, the ins and outs of the story, but you end up basically having to play majority of the game like hiding from this thing. And I'm not a huge fan of that type of gameplay, just because I find, like I've said with Stay Out of the House and stuff, that like I find the more limitations that I'm allowed to do, in the way that like I'm not allowed to, I can't, you know, just endlessly look at things, or like I don't get much time to try and figure something out whilst also trying to hide from the thing that's, you know, assailing me. And I've kind of find that a bit tiring, and I did find parts of Hollow Cocoon a bit tiring, but it did get very good. And yeah, so Hollow Cocoon is almost certainly going to be a Halloween video at this point, just because I think it's pretty interesting, and I feel it's different enough from the things that have been presented for Halloween already, like Dredge and Late Homework. So yeah, I've got to write that, as well as the karaoke and Where the Wolves Breathe, so that's that. Bunch of other ones that I started playing. I've been playing Pilgrim with Ruby quite a bit. They keep on updating that, and I want to talk about that one when it's done. Pilgrim's unflatteringly, I guess we could call it a Lethal Company clone, but basically you have to, instead of like the ship that you go to different planets on, you have a crystal-powered truck that you take places, and when the crystal runs out, you have to try and sell enough things to power the crystal so that you can keep going. And it's a unique concept in a way, but I think what makes the game good is the same thing that makes a lot of Lethal Company good, in the way that there are loads of unique entities, or there's quite a few unique entities, And the AI is very strange and does a lot of odd things, and you can't really. And there's a great deal of unease you get by going into certain places and kind of testing out these creatures and not really knowing what they do. And I like that about it. I like every time you encounter something new, it's like, what the hell is that? What is it doing? Why is it doing that sort of thing? And in co-op, it's pretty good. There are a lot of bugs to be ironed out in that, and they luckily they've updated it again, so we'll be going back to that, because I think if there's footage in the background, it'll be from the previous patch, since we haven't played it for a little bit. But yeah, that one's in the works. I was playing. I haven't got back to playing Dismantled. That game's pretty messed up. I've already told you about that one before in last month's update. I haven't really played any more of that, but I do plan on doing that. Oh yeah, going back to the bigger videos, one of them that I was working on was like how horror has changed with technology sort of thing throughout the history of horror games and stuff, and how more advanced things have led to new experiences and stuff. And it was supposed to be about horror history, but I don't think they really need to do it like that. But that's another thing that I was working on. And I think I played Kadath, and I wanted to try and get a VR headset of some degree to do some sort of VR related things, but I don't know how well that will pan out, whether that will work at all, and don't really know where to begin with VR. Loads of people have suggested it, and people keep on telling me over and over again, oh, if I haven't played Resident Evil 7 VR, then I haven't really played Resident Evil 7 and stuff like that. Apparently it's you know, far better than using a mouse and keyboard, which is I'm all up for giving it a go, but like money and space constraints are pretty bad, and I've just had to spend a fair amount of money on the computer. We've been working on Absol Event of Gods. That's made by the same people who made Unforgiving and Northern Hymn, which I reviewed a couple of years ago. And it's very unique. It seems to be like futuristic Viking sort of vibe. I don't really know how to describe it. I'm not a huge fan of it at the moment, just because it feels, despite the fact that the game is quite linear, it feels directionless, and I feel quite lost in it. Like, I'm still kind of unsure what's going on for most of the things that have happened in game at the moment. So yeah, it has had some good moments, but most of it has just been like walking through dark corridors, and I'm not gonna lie, not much have changed or evolved from that. So yeah, that's a bit of a yeah. I played Dreamcore. I was gonna do another sort of look on liminal spaces at one point, I think, in the future, and Dreamcore was going to be one that I played. But as a horror experience, I don't really think much of Dreamcore. It doesn't feel like Pools did, or the Backrooms complex found footage sort of thing. That was great. Complex found footage really felt unsettling. Pools, to a lesser degree, and I'd say Dreamcore is even less of sort of threatening aura you get from that game, so that's not really one that I don't know what I'm going to do with that when I do play more of it. Skyward Extraction is another sort of Lethal Company like. I played a bit of that with Ruby again, but I'm not a really huge fan of that one. I'm not sure I would really class it in the same. I think that's more comedy than horror at that point, so I don't know whether I'm actually going to continue trying to do a video on that one or not. Ad Infinitum, or Ad Finitum, I think, is a World War I believe. I haven't played this one in quite a while, but I want to talk about it since the folders are in front of me for the games that I've been recording. That one's been very dull, I'm not gonna lie. It's been very slow from the start. There was some like sort of wartime post-traumatic stress disorder sort of psychosis moments in the early game, and now there's been some sort of monster that has appeared, and I'm kind of out of my depth with the game. It's been really taking me quite some time to do a single puzzle in it, and then I kind of I didn't really get into it very much, so I don't know when I'll be getting back to that one, but maybe one day. I think that's about it for those. I'm not sure there's... Oh, there's, No, I think that's about it. There have been some other ones that I've been doing that are much smaller, but I don't think most of them are worth talking about until I've got more of the game to talk about. So, yeah, lots of stuff has been going on, and I'm not gonna lie, not a lot of it's been great. So, I am hoping to potentially this week either finish the next big video, which will be the critical versus personal opinion and top 10s and all that, and then get back to working on the numerous games that I've recorded already that I haven't finished doing. And then, yeah, like I was hoping earlier last week that I would be able to just catch up quite easily, but yeah, stuff has been going down and things have been stressful. My dad got sick for quite a while, and things were touch and go for a while, which was very stressful. Lots of other stuff going on too, but yeah, it's still going. It's the best thing I can say about it. It's still going. I've had a lot of ideas. I've had a lot of things to do, but the ability to do them has been greatly hampered by things that are happening around me. So yeah, or things I've directly done, which is, you know, my own damn fault for breaking that computer. But yeah, there you go. That's about it for this month's thing. Oh, this is still way longer than I thought it was going to be. Damn. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you made it to the end of this, congratulations. And I will see you next time.